10 tiny productivity habits that changed my life. Hey, if you feel overwhelmed, constantly behind, and like your to-do list is slowly trying to kill you, take a breath. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You just might need better systems, not more pressure. I used to chase every productivity trend. 5 a.m. mornings, Pomodoro timers, bullet journals, digital detoxes. Some helped. Most just made me feel like I was failing wrong. But eventually, I found a rhythm that worked. Not by doing more, but by doing less, better. Here are 10 tiny habits that help me work smarter, build momentum, and stop burning out. They're practical. They're personal. And maybe they'll help you too. Let's get into it. 1. Planning tomorrow tonight. Most of my mornings used to start in pure chaos. Wake up, scroll, panic. Then finally open my laptop with no idea what to do first. Now, I spend 5 minutes every night planning tomorrow. I write down 3 main priorities for the next day. Only 3. No more. Then I add a couple of nice-to-haves and schedule when I'll do them. Here's what changed. I wake up with direction, not decisions. It's the difference between reacting to your day and leading it. Hint: if you're overwhelmed, don't aim for a perfect to-do list. Just ask, what's one thing I can do tomorrow that'll make the day easier? This one small change brought clarity to my mornings. And once I started showing up with a plan, I realized the environment I worked in needed help too. And once my mornings had more direction, I started noticing something else. My workspace wasn't helping. 2. The 10-minute tidy desk rule. My desk used to look like a crime scene. Crumbs, pens, receipts, charger cables tied in knots, sticky notes from 3 months ago. I thought I could work through it, until I realized the clutter was affecting my brain. So now, at the end of every workday, I do a 10-minute desk reset. I stack papers, toss trash, clear space. Sometimes I even light a candle, just to mentally say, I'm done. Why it works. When I sit down to work the next day, my brain doesn't have to fight through visual noise. I start calm, focused, ready. Pro tip: want bonus points? Put one item on your desk that makes you smile. A photo, a little plant, a weird dinosaur figurine. It makes work feel more human. A clear desk sets the stage for clearer thinking. And clearer thinking helps you start easier, which is perfect. Because 3. The just 2 minutes. Trick: sometimes the hardest part of a task is starting. I used to sit there dreading something for hours, and then finish it in 15 minutes. It was ridiculous. So I made a rule: just do 2 minutes. Then you can quit. Need to write something? Write the title. Need to work out? Just change into workout clothes. Need to clean? Pick up literally one item. 99% of the time, once I start, I keep going. Why it works. Momentum beats motivation. Start tiny, and your brain gets tricked into continuing. Personal story: I once procrastinated a project for 2 weeks. Then I sat down to just write the outline, and finished half the draft. In 30 minutes. It was a light bulb moment. And once I started actually finishing things, I realized the next step was making sure I wasn't forgetting important stuff. 4. One notebook system. Instead of multiple to-do lists. There was a point when I had to-do lists in 5 different places. A notebook? My notes app. Random sticky notes. Emails to myself. My brain, it was chaos. So I simplified everything into one system. One notebook. One place. Now every task, idea, reminder, it all goes in one spot. I carry it with me. It's analog, simple, and I actually use it. Why it works. I no longer waste energy trying to remember where I wrote something down. My brain has a home base. Plus, it keeps me grounded. No fancy tools. Just a habit I can stick with. Once my notes were in one place, it became easier to actually close the day well. Which leads us to 5. Creating a shutdown ritual. Every evening, now that we've got your day started with clarity and intention, let's fast forward a bit. To the other bookend of your day, how you wrap it up. I used to treat the end of my workday like it didn't matter. I'd just work until I couldn't anymore. No off switch, no boundaries. I'd check emails at 11 p.m., refresh Slack like it owed me money, and drift to sleep still thinking about tomorrow's to-do list. It wasn't just unhealthy. It was exhausting. Then I stumbled on this idea of a shutdown ritual. Instead of ending your day with burnout, you close it with intention. Every evening, I take 10 minutes to go through my personal checklist. Close the laptop. Glance at my to-do list and check off what I finished. Move any unfinished tasks to tomorrow. Look at my calendar. That won't? 6. Using the distraction pad trick. Write everything down, or else you will forget and spend 20 minutes later thinking, what was I thinking about? Ever sit down to work and suddenly remember you need to buy toothpaste? Or book a doctor's appointment? Or check that one thing that's definitely not urgent but now feels weirdly important? Yeah, same. The human brain is a relentless reminder machine. It loves interrupting your focus with random tasks, questions, or rabbit holes. That's where the distraction pad comes in. It's literally just a notepad, or a notes app, where I offload every distracting thought as it pops up. Instead of acting on it, I just write it down and keep going. At the end of the day, I check the list. Some things get scheduled, some get deleted, and some just stay there until I forget about them, which usually means they didn't matter that much. It's such a small shift, but it protects my focus like a force field. And once you start clearing that mental noise, you'll want to take it a step further. And that's where the weekly accomplishment comes in. 7. The weekly brain dump. The daily distractions are one thing, but what about the big picture stuff? The projects, the worries, the swirling to-dos that don't have a home yet? That's where the weekly brain dump comes in. Once a week, usually Friday night, I sit down with a notebook and unload everything that's taking up space in my head. Loose ends, random reminders, emotional clutter, even stuff I'm just vaguely anxious about. No structure, no judgment, just a full mental release. I sort out what matters, what's urgent, and what can wait. This habit keeps me from carrying the invisible weight of, I'm forgetting something all week long. And once I've cleared out the mental clutter, I'm in a better place to focus on what really moves the needle. Then, and only then, do I start organizing and plan to accomplish those tasks on the weekend, 20 minutes here, 15 there, and 30 minutes over there. If I cross off a couple of those major tasks off, I am happy. And I don't mean cleaning the emptying the dishwasher or doing laundry or vacuuming. I mean things you want to do. Hobby, side hustle, reading a chapter of a book, writing a chapter of a book. But it must be something you want to do, something that gives you growth. I don't need to finish all the tasks. All I need to do is take some off and feel great. I am not a perfectionist, and I don't want to be. 8. Following the 80-20 rule daily, now that your brain isn't overloaded, let's zoom in on impact. Ever feel like you're doing a lot, but not getting anywhere? That's the trap of being busy without being effective. That's why I started using the 80-20 rule, and it changed everything. Instead of trying to do everything, I now ask one question every morning. What's the one task today that will make the biggest impact? Not the easiest one, not the most urgent, but the one that moves the needle. Maybe it's a hard conversation. Maybe it's finally tackling a project I've been avoiding. Maybe it's something that sets me up for a smoother week ahead. When I knock that out early, everything else feels lighter. I'm not chasing productivity, I'm creating momentum. And to actually make time for that one thing, I had to change the way I structured my workday. But to really make space for that kind of focus, I had to change how I scheduled my day. 9. Working in focus blocks, not all-day marathons. Here's what I learned the hard way. Working longer doesn't mean working better. I used to push through full days without breaks, hoping I'd finally catch up. But the result? Burnout, shallow focus, and that weird feeling of, I was busy all day, but what did I actually do? So I switched to 90-minute focus blocks. One task, one block of time, one burst of energy. Then I break, stretch, move, rest my brain. This rhythm lets me bring full presence to my work without frying my circuits. And once I started honoring that structure, I stopped ending my days feeling scattered and started ending them with a win, which leads perfectly to our final habit. 10. The leave it better habit. I want to tell you about a deceptively small habit that changed not just how I function, but how I feel about my space, my time, and even myself. It's something I call the leave it better habit. At first glance, it might not sound like a productivity tip. It's not flashy. It's not something you can download or track with an app. There's no timer involved, no system, no checklist. But it's one of the quietest, most powerful things I do every single day. Let me explain. For most of my life, I had a pattern. I would let things slowly unravel around me without even noticing. A dish in the sink turned into 3. A hoodie draped over a chair became a mountain of laundry. My desktop had 39 screenshots and 11 PDFs named final3.pdf. You get the picture. It never felt like a big deal in the moment. I'd always think, I'll deal with that later. But the problem is, later usually came when I was already exhausted, stressed out, or emotionally overwhelmed. And suddenly, a few messes became evidence that I was falling apart. My outer world mirrored my inner chaos, and vice versa. Then, one day, I came across a quote. It said, "Leave every room a little better than you found it." It hit me like a brick. Not because it was new, but because it was true. And because it felt doable. So I tried it. Just one day. The first moment was tiny. I walked into my bathroom, noticed a few stray hairs on the sink, grabbed a tissue, and wiped it down. That was it. I didn't declutter the cabinet. I didn't deep clean the tile grout. I just made that one spot a little better than before. And something weird happened. I walked away feeling calm, capable. Like I was finally steering the ship instead of just floating around, hoping not to crash. So I kept going. Every time I left the kitchen, I'd wipe down a counter. Not the whole thing, just a section. When I stood up from the couch, I'd fold the throw blanket and fluff the pillow. If I passed the dining table and saw a crumpled receipt or empty mug, I'd take it with me to the sink. Nothing heroic, just little acts of restoration. And here's what happened over time. My space got cleaner, my mind got clearer, and I started to see myself differently. I wasn't the messy one anymore. I wasn't the person who couldn't keep up. I was someone who showed up, who left things a little better, who respected their space, even if that space was just a cluttered corner of a tiny apartment. It wasn't just about tidying, it was about identity. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about perfection. There are still days my sink is full, or my floor is dusty, or my workspace looks like a paper tornado came through. That's life. We're human. But this habit isn't about keeping everything perfect all the time. It's about momentum. It's about micro moments of control in a world that often feels chaotic, and it works anywhere. When I'm leaving my car, I take the water bottle or coffee cup with me instead of leaving it in the cup holder. When I close a browser tab, I take 2 seconds to close the 10 others I opened and forgot about. When I finish journaling, I place the pen back in the drawer instead of tossing it on the bed. Tiny things, one breath long. But over time, they add up. And maybe the most surprising part is how much emotional weight they've lifted. There's something powerful about knowing I don't have to overhaul my entire life to feel better. I can just make one small thing a little bit better than it was 5 seconds ago. That's manageable. That's realistic. It's also contagious. Because when I leave a space better, I tend to treat the next space with more respect. It becomes a ripple effect. My room feels better. My work feels more intentional. Even my relationships improve. Because when you stop living in a state of low-key overwhelm, you show up more fully. It's also taught me something bigger than cleaning. It taught me that small efforts matter, that you don't need to wait for some magical, clean slate moment to start showing up for yourself. You just need to start where you are, with what you have, and with a mindset that says, I may not be able to do everything, but I can do something. And that, for me, has been a lifeline. Here's a challenge for you. Next time you get up from your desk, look around. Can you take one item with you? Next time you brush your teeth, can you wipe the sink or refill the soap? When you close a tab, can you also close a few others you're not using? Don't try to overhaul your entire life in one day. Just start by leaving one thing a little better than you found it. And over time, those tiny actions, those 10-second decisions, add up to something really powerful. They add up to a version of you who feels more grounded, more present, more capable. And honestly, that's more than enough. Final thoughts. These 10 habits aren't revolutionary. They're not flashy hacks. They're just tiny shifts that, over time, change how you feel, work, and live. Pick one. Try it for a week. Not to be perfect, but to be intentional. And if this video helped you, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment with the habit you're trying next, or one that's changed your life. You've got this. Step by step. Habit by habit.